The night my jewelry was stolen, everyone thought I was asleep. But to understand why that night changed my life, you have to understand what those pieces meant to me. They weren't just diamonds, emeralds, or gold. They were years of sacrifice, years of rejection, years of choosing integrity when shortcuts promised faster success. People saw the collection and admired the sparkle. I saw every sleepless night hidden inside it. I wasn't born into wealth. I wasn't handed opportunities. No family business waited for me. No investor appeared during the difficult years. Everything started at a small workbench squeezed into the corner of a tiny apartment. Back then, I spent my days repairing broken jewelry for customers and my nights designing pieces nobody had commissioned. Most people told me I was wasting my time. Some were polite about it, others weren't. Never compete with the big names. Luxury jewelry is controlled by established brands. Talent isn't enough. For a long time, it felt like they were right. There were months when I barely paid rent, months when I questioned every decision I had ever made. Yet every time I considered quitting, something stopped me. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe it was belief. Maybe it was the simple fact that creating jewelry made me feel alive. So I kept going. One piece became two, two became 10. 10 became a collection. Slowly, customers began returning. Then they started bringing friends. A local magazine featured my work. A boutique offered shelf space. A collector purchased an entire set. The momentum was slow at first. Then it accelerated. 5 years after I nearly gave up, I finally had something I had spent my entire career chasing. Recognition. Not fame, not fortune. Something more valuable. Respect. People trusted me. In luxury design, trust matters more than gemstones. A customer can buy diamonds anywhere. They choose a designer because they believe in the person behind them. That belief became the foundation of everything I built. And that foundation eventually led to the opportunity that changed everything. 3 months before the exhibition, I received a call from a man named Victor Hayes. Victor wasn't just wealthy. He was influential. His investments had launched several luxury brands into international success. If Victor believed in a company, people paid attention. When his assistant first contacted me, I assumed it was a mistake. I nearly ignored the message. Fortunately, curiosity won. The meeting lasted 2 hours. The impact lasted much longer. Victor studied my designs with unusual focus. He wasn't impressed by price tags. He was impressed by stories. Every piece I created carried meaning. Every detail served a purpose. By the end of the meeting, he offered something I had never imagined, an exhibition. Not a local showcase. Not a small gallery event. A major private exhibition attended by collectors, investors, journalists, and industry leaders. One successful night could transform my business forever. I remember leaving his office unable to stop smiling. For the first time, the future looked larger than survival. It looked promising. Over the next several months, I poured everything into preparing. The collection became my obsession: rare sapphires, flawless diamonds, custom-cut gemstones sourced from around the world. Every piece represented the best work of my career. Together, they were worth a fortune. Individually, they were priceless to me. The exhibition was scheduled to take place at a luxury estate several hours outside the city. Victor owned the property. The estate was famous for hosting exclusive events. It sat atop a hillside surrounded by forest. Private, elegant, secure. At least that's what everyone believed. The collection arrived 2 days before the exhibition. I traveled with it personally. I wasn't willing to trust shipping companies with something so important. As the estate appeared through the trees, I felt excitement building inside me. The property looked like something from a film: stone architecture, massive windows, perfectly maintained gardens, luxury everywhere. Yet despite the beauty, something about the place felt strangely isolated. The surrounding forest seemed endless. The nearest town was miles away. The estate felt separated from the rest of the world. At the time, I viewed that isolation as protection. Later, I would understand it differently. Several people greeted me upon arrival. Victor welcomed me personally. His confidence was reassuring. The staff appeared professional. Security personnel monitored entrances. Everything looked organized. Everything looked safe. Most importantly, my oldest friend was there, Daniel. If I trusted anyone completely, it was him. We had known each other for more than a decade. He had witnessed my worst moments, the failed business deals, the financial struggles, the years nobody believed in me. Whenever success finally arrived, Daniel celebrated harder than I did. Or at least that's what I thought. Seeing him at the estate immediately eased my nerves. I remember laughing as we carried equipment inside. For a brief moment, everything felt perfect. Dreams were becoming reality, hard work was paying off. The future seemed bright, the irony still hurts. Because while I stood there surrounded by smiles, danger had already entered the room. I simply couldn't see it yet. The day passed quickly. Display cases were arranged. Lighting was tested. Security procedures were reviewed. By evening, the collection looked extraordinary. The gemstones reflected soft golden light. Every display seemed alive. Several guests arrived early for private previews. Collectors admired the craftsmanship. Industry professionals offered compliments. Journalists requested interviews. Everything I had worked toward was finally happening. Yet during those conversations, small moments began unsettling me. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious, just small details. A guest asking unusually specific questions about security. Someone lingering near the displays longer than necessary. A staff member appearing startled when they noticed me watching. Individually, these moments meant nothing. Together, they created discomfort. Still, I ignored it. Success has a strange effect on people. When life finally starts rewarding you, you don't want to believe something bad is coming. You want to enjoy the moment. You want to trust it. So that's exactly what I did. I trusted. And trust, unfortunately, can become the perfect disguise for betrayal. As evening settled over the estate and darkness swallowed the surrounding forest, guests gathered for dinner. Laughter echoed through the halls. Crystal glasses clinked together. Conversations flowed effortlessly. From the outside, it looked like a celebration. And in many ways, it was. But hidden beneath the elegance, something else was beginning to move. Something patient, something calculated, something that had been waiting far longer than I realized. And before the night was over, I would discover that not everyone at that table had come to celebrate my success. The first thing I learned about fear is that it doesn't always make you move. Sometimes it does the opposite. Sometimes it turns you into stone. I lay perfectly still beneath the blankets, my eyes closed, my breathing slow and steady. Every instinct screamed at me to sit up, to shout, to confront whoever had entered my room. But another voice inside me, a quieter, colder voice, told me to wait, listen, observe, survive. The room was nearly dark. Only a thin ribbon of moonlight slipped through the curtains. I heard soft footsteps moving across the floor. One pair, then another. 2 people, maybe 3. The sound was deliberate, careful, practiced. These weren't opportunists. They weren't making decisions in the moment. They had done this before. I felt my pulse hammering inside my chest. I worried they could hear it. The jewelry cases sat less than 20 feet away. Inside them rested years of my life, my future, my reputation, my dream, and someone had come to take it all. A zipper opened. Metal touched metal. A lock clicked softly. One of them whispered, "Easy." A second voice answered, "Know what I'm doing." The moment I heard that second voice, something inside me froze, not because I recognized it, because I almost recognized it. It felt familiar, dangerously familiar. I focused harder. The thieves continued working. One moved between the display cases. Another packed items into padded bags. They knew exactly which pieces were valuable, exactly which compartments contained the rare gemstones, exactly where everything was located. That realization scared me more than the theft itself. This wasn't random. Someone had insider knowledge, someone who had seen the collection, someone who had access, someone close. The room suddenly felt smaller. The list of people I trusted began shrinking. A quiet laugh broke the silence. Then came words that changed everything. "I can't believe how easy this is." Voice belonged to a man, calm, confident, almost amused. The second person answered. "He's always been too trusting." My stomach dropped, trusting, not careless, not unlucky, trusting. They knew me not as a target, as a person. I kept my breathing even, every muscle in my body ached from remaining still. Then the first voice spoke again. "He never sees what's right in front of him." The second person chuckled. "That's why we're walking out rich." A brief moment, anger nearly overpowered caution. I wanted to jump up. I wanted answers. I wanted names. Instead, I remained motionless. And that decision saved me, because a few seconds later, the third person finally spoke. A voice I knew better than my own, Daniel, my best friend, the man who had stood beside me for years, the man I trusted completely, the man I would have defended without hesitation. "Daniel, just hurry up," he whispered. "We don't have all night." The words hit harder than any physical blow. For a moment, I wondered if I was dreaming. Surely I had heard wrong. Surely stress was distorting reality. But then he spoke again, and every doubt disappeared. It was him. Every memory we shared flashed through my mind. The late-night conversations, the years of support, the celebrations, the failures, the promises. Suddenly those memories looked different, like paintings viewed under new light. Cracks appeared where I had never noticed them before. The friendship I believed was built on loyalty now seemed built on something else, something darker, something hidden. I listened as they continued packing the jewelry. The conversation became more revealing and more painful. One of the thieves asked Daniel a question. "When did you start planning this?" Daniel answered immediately. "Months ago." Months. The word echoed through my head. Months, not days, not weeks, months. This wasn't temptation. This wasn't a bad decision made in a desperate moment. This was preparation, calculation, betrayal, the investor's exhibition, the estate. The timing. Everything suddenly seemed suspicious. Another thief laughed. "Best opportunity we'll ever get." Daniel replied with a bitterness I had never heard before. "Opportunity? After everything I've watched him get." Silence followed, then he continued. "I was there from the beginning." My chest tightened. "I helped him when nobody cared." Resentment in his voice shocked me. I watched him become successful while everybody forgot about me. Truth was finally emerging, not loyalty, envy, not friendship, comparison. While I had been celebrating success, Daniel had been measuring it. While I believed we were walking the same path, he had been keeping score. And somewhere along the way, admiration had transformed into resentment. The most dangerous betrayal isn't from enemies, it's from people who secretly believe your success should have been theirs. For nearly an hour I listened. Every word became evidence. Every sentence revealed motive, every detail mattered. I memorized everything: names, times, plans, destinations. The thieves discussed buyers, transportation, hidden accounts, storage locations. They were so confident they never imagined anyone was listening. That confidence became their weakness. Eventually, the room grew quiet, the bags were full. The collection was gone, years of work had disappeared into darkness. One final conversation took place near the door. A voice asked, "What if he notices tomorrow?" Daniel laughed. The sound made my skin crawl. "He won't know what happened until it's too late." Door opened, closed, and silence returned. For several minutes I remained completely still. Not because I was afraid, because I was thinking. The easiest response would have been panic, call security, wake everyone, create chaos. But panic helps thieves, panic destroys details. Panic turns evidence into confusion. I needed something else. I needed patience. Slowly, I sat up. The display cases were empty. The sight hurt. Yet strangely, I felt calmer than before, because now I knew the truth, not part of it, the whole truth. And truth is powerful, especially when the people hiding it think they're safe. I walked to the window. The estate grounds were quiet. The forest beyond the property looked endless. Somewhere out there, Daniel and the others believed they had won. They believed the story was over. They believed I was the victim. They were wrong. Because during the theft, something unexpected had happened. I had stopped thinking like prey and started thinking like a hunter. I spent the remainder of the night documenting everything I remembered, every voice, every statement, every timeline, every detail. The list became pages. The pages became a strategy. By sunrise, I had a plan. And unlike theirs, mine didn't depend on greed, it depended on truth. The next morning was almost surreal. Daniel appeared at breakfast carrying a cup of coffee, smiling, as if nothing had happened, as if he hadn't stolen my future hours earlier. "You look tired," he said. I nearly laughed. Instead, I smiled. "Sleep well." Technically true. His eyes searched my face, looking for suspicion, looking for awareness. He found neither. Or so he thought. The performance had begun, and for the first time in years. I was grateful that jewelry design had taught me patience, because creating something valuable requires restraint, precision, timing. The same skills would now help me destroy the lies surrounding me. As guests prepared for the exhibition, I quietly started gathering evidence, not accusations, evidence. The difference would determine everything. And before this was over, every person involved would learn a lesson far more valuable than the jewelry they had stolen. They thought they had taken my collection. What they didn't realize was that they had handed me something even more powerful, the opportunity to expose who they truly were, and that opportunity was just beginning.